Hello everyone, welcome back to a comparison video between the Ace Foil Lightning and the Ace Air Foil. We've been using both these boards over the last few weeks, doing little downwind sessions, winging sessions, even towing them behind a boat to give us a really good understanding of the differences of these boards. Check out this full video to find out which one will potentially suit you. Before we jump into this video, guys, if this is the first SUPboarder video you have watched, welcome. We hope you find it very interesting and informative. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've been making SUP and foil content for well over 12 years now to help you improve in whatever discipline you're doing. And also, if you're really keen on SUP and progressing even further and getting the right kit for you, check out SUPboarder Pro, which is our subscription service, which has a great Ask the Experts feature where you can ask us any questions about any boards and we'll get back with a completely honest answer. Back to the full review. So Starboard have been in the foiling market since very much the beginning, but in the last few years they really have increased their foil range. Just looking at the boards, there's a large range of composite hardboards that will suit the full-on hardcore downwind foiler to somebody who's just getting into foiling and wants to have the easiest board to start flying with. They have a large range of inflatable boards as well that very much mirrors that high performance rider right down to that beginner rider wanting to get up and fly as easy and as quickly as possible. But the two boards we have in front of us are designed for downwind SUP foiling and moving into light winging as well. But we do know a lot of you out there that are using these types of longer base boards in the surf as well. So you very much could transfer a lot of this information onto SUP surf foiling in the waves as well. Let's jump into some facts and figures. Both these boards are available in a large range of sizes. The composite board is sort of split into two different groups. We have the Ace Foil Lightning and you have the Ace Foil. The easiest way to understand that is the Ace Foil is generally the shorter, wider base boards. They're going to push a little bit more into the winging and a bit more into that SUP surfing as well. The Lightning is the longer, thinner version of those boards, very much going to be the quickest to paddle up onto foil. The board that we have been using is the 82 by 18 101 litres. This board retails at £1,549, 2,049 euros or $2,099. That price point is actually very competitive for the construction that this is blue carbon. A lot of you are looking at this board because it is a very comfortable price in the market compared to its rivals. The airfoil is available in some good sizes as well. The one that we've been using is the 78 by 22, 120 litres. Retail price on those is £1,149, €1,449 or around $1,759. We unfortunately couldn't actually get the exact same size in the Ace Foil Lightning. You can get the airfoil in 82 by 18 as well. But a lot of this information, of course, you will be able to easily transfer over to the exact board size you're looking at for your body weight and for your ability. The composite Ace Foil Lightning is a very, very lightweight board. When we weighed this one, it only weighed 5.6 kilos. And looking at the Ace Airfoil, still a fairly lightweight board weighing at 7.2 kilos. There is a lot on that board which I'm going to speak about, and obviously that does bring the weight up a little bit more, but that board is actually lighter than the previous years as well. Now I'm going to give you an overview of both of these boards, going to give you our feelings and thoughts of them on and off the water, bit of pros and cons in there as well. I'm sure by the end of that you're going to have a very good understanding of what these boards are like and potentially which one of these boards you could potentially go towards, because I know a lot of you out there are thinking about moving on to these longer base boards and you're wondering if you could get away with an inflatable, or you need that composite performance to get you up on the foil that much easier and earlier. So both these boards are designed to do basically the same thing. They are designed to get you up on the foil as quickly as possible. In general, the longer the board, the narrower the board, the easier that is going to be. But the narrower the board is, the less stability you're going to have overall. And if you're using it in choppy, moving waters, really rough conditions, you may struggle if you're not on the foil all the time. Starboard done a lot of work on both of these boards over the last year, but let's first look at the Starboard Ace Foil Lightning. The general outline shape of this board, a very parallel outline with a very sharp pintail at the back of the board. Very square boxy sides to this board. This board has a large flat deck. It has a new Rockline profile this year as well. And Starboard have finished this board off with a 16-inch foil box this year. What that all means is this board is incredibly slippery, very quick to get up on foil. The bottom shape, which they continued on from last year up at the nose, having that slight V under the nose, really gets you up on foil very quickly, because as you're pushing and paddling into the water, the board just wants to ride and pop itself up. That also with the pintail really allows you to push the board down a little bit at the back, and the pintail will squash in the water and it will pop up and release very quickly. Because it's quicker to physically paddle, you will be able to paddle it up using smaller foils as well. Therefore, if you want to be downwinding in faster conditions, you're a more proficient downwinder, you're going to be able to get up onto a smaller foil in less wind, and then you're going to have more fun when you are actually downwinding. That is a big difference between where these boards have come from in the last few years. Now the paddle speed is so much greater with these new Lightning boards. Now, the narrower you go, the faster the paddle speed is going to be. But as I said, the stability is going to suffer. But these big boxy rails do give you a good amount of support. Because these rails are very square, it does mean that if you're riding an 18-inch board, you actually have 18 inches of board in the water. Some brands, they may be on 18-inch boards, but the rails and the side shapes of the boards bring the board down quite a lot at the bottom. That's obviously going to reduce your wetted surface, which is going to make the board a bit more unstable. So you do get a full amount of width in the water, which does give you a good amount of stability. Now, before I speak about what the Ace Foil Lightning is like compared to the Ace Airfoil on the water, I want to speak about the Airfoil and what's on that board, the stuff they've done this year, because this board has changed a lot since last year, and this is definitely one of the most impressive inflatable foil boards on the market to date from any brand. There is so much on this board that needs to be spoken about, and it is the stuff that does make a huge difference when you're riding and paddling this board. They've tried to keep the outline shape very similar to its hard brother, so it's still fairly parallel overall. You still have the pintail at the back. When it comes to inflatable paddleboards, it's very hard to make big, boxy, square rails, but they've managed to do that. At the bottom of the board, they have like a plastic rail edge, which releases the water quicker than having a rounded edge that you would usually find on a lot of other inflatable paddleboards. And above that, they've put EVA padding directly on top of that. So you still have exactly the same sort of style of the big boxy rail that you would do on the Ace Lightning to give you that wide stance and having the full width of the board in the water. That nice wide flat deck is even flatter because it has the plate system put on top of the board. This one is the carbon plate, so it's a light, incredibly stiff board, and your foil bolts directly below that plate. So your foil is bolting literally about 1.5 centimeters below your feet. Very strong, impressive build quality with that. Stainless steel inserts into the carbon plate as well. Finished off with the foot straps, and you do get those foot straps as standard with the full package as well. The rocker line and the nose shape underneath has changed this year. They've put a little bit more rocker in this board to help with your paddling up and touchdowns, but the big thing is this board has a V underneath the board, very much in the same place as the composite boards. This V is really well finished off in the way that they've made this. I have no idea how they've put this V on, but it really is quite impressive, and it does look completely perfect on the board. Moving back, they've got a brand new EVA plug as well. This was definitely one of our negative points when we reviewed this board in the past. They had like a foam plug, which worked and it was okay, but it just didn't do the board justice. Now this plug is way easier to get in and out for a start. It's much better quality foam itself, and it just looks way smarter, making the bottom way more hydrodynamic. Finished off with a handle in the bottom there, so it's easy to carry. That handle doesn't seem to actually get in the way or slow the board down when you're paddling it, but let's speak about that now. So with that board, they really are trying to get it as close to the composite board as possible. Now, how close is it is the question. How much of a compromise have you got to take to go for an inflatable over a hard composite board? Straight away, there is an incredible stiffness with both these boards and how the foil is fixed onto them. The composite board does have a very stiff and direct feel, but the carbon plate, I wouldn't say is massively far behind with that. Because the carbon plate is literally bolted right onto the base of your feet, it does even give you a better feel in that sense than having it bolted, 10 centimeters below your feet, which you are doing with the Ace Foil Lightning. Now, the Ace Foil Lightning is an incredibly slippy board that does paddle up very easily. It is very quick for the amount of paddle strokes you put in. It really pops itself up nice and quickly. This is going to really help you get onto these smaller foils. So if you're more proficient downwinder, your paddle speed is going to be a lot faster with the Ace Foil Lightning. We expected the Ace Airfoil to be a bit of a struggle coming off the back of paddling the Ace Lightning up onto foil. It does take a few more paddle strokes to get up onto foil, but it's not a hard board to paddle up on foil, and that is 4 inches wider in width. If anything, the advantage of paddling the Ace Airfoil up onto foil opposed to the Lightning is because it is a wider board, has a good amount of stability with that wide EVA pad. It made you relax a little bit more, so you haven't got to worry about your balance so much. So then you can just really get a good paddle stroke in to get yourself up on foil. Definitely that's where the nose is starting to help. The rail edge is really helping release the water, and obviously that patented plate that Starboard have got on that board really giving you that direct feel to the foil. When it comes to pumping and keeping your board flying on foil, there is a smaller marginal gain with the Ace Foil Lightning. It is a lighter board, but because we're using the Ace Airfoil, that was a little bit shorter, it was a little bit more compact, and it actually made the pump really quite good with that. Again, the carbon plate that was finished with this one, very direct, very responsive underfoot. When it comes to talking about the touchdown of these boards, I'm going to bring this in talking about the light wind winging as well, because winging you can have a really good control of touching the nose of the board down, seeing how the rails drag, seeing how the board reacts, does it start to tip or pull you over, and then just bringing yourself back up onto foil again. This is where it blew me away personally, the difference and the increase in performance you get over the last year's Ace Airfoil. Because they have changed the rocker line a little bit, but that V underneath the nose, it doesn't have that feeling of bogging as soon as you touch down. Now in the past, so many, in fact all of the inflatable foil boards I've used have that slightly boggy feel. They've always got better, but this has exponentially got way better having that V under the nose. So not only does it give you a softer touchdown when you touch down, which is very similar to the composite board in the same sort of nose shape there, but as soon as you want to sort of keep that speed going, the volume that's packed into the front of the board there in the V forces the board back up onto foil and in the right direction going forward. The difference between the two, if anything, I would have said actually that the inflatable board was almost a little bit more forgiving on touchdown because the board has a little bit softer rail up towards the front section compared to the bigger boxier rail that's on the Ace Foil Lightning. The Ace Foil Lightning does touch down very easily, but it tends to want to track in that certain direction as soon as it touches down. The Ace Airfoil has a softer feel and it allows you to touch down a little bit off angle and actually recover much quicker as well. So the touchdowns alongside with the takeoffs, the nose shapes on the new Ace Airfoil really have increased the usability and the fun factor of using that board on multiple different water conditions. I mean, you could talk about that in SUP surfing, downwind foiling, wing foiling. Really, the uses and the benefits of that nose and rocker shape will help with all of those disciplines. Finishing off with a summary of both the boards. Sizes, that's completely open and up to you. They do mirror similar sizes in both the boards. Starboard have made the Ace Airfoil an easier and better board to use. But also, to be fair to the Lightning, that board is faster and easier to use than the previous year's boards as well. It's more stable, it's definitely quicker to paddle. So there is two great boards here, but really, let's talk about the performance gap between these two boards. The Ace Foil, yes, it does it a little bit better, but it's probably only 20% better. Yes, if you're that performance rider that wants to get on those super small foils and downwind and have really fast downwind runs and a very responsive board, the Ace Lightning is going to be a really quick board for you to get up onto foil fast. But the Ace Airfoil, it requires a little bit more paddle strokes, so a little bit more of a bump, and you're going to be up on foil. And when it comes to getting on and off the water, you could drive over that with your car. And this one, you don't even want to put it down in a car park. It's so good to see Starboard put so much work into an inflatable board, and it really is good to see the gap closing now between composite and inflatable. More performance riders will always want lightest, best and fastest. That is still the Ace Lightning. But for most of us out there that just want a fun board to get up in lots of different conditions and we don't have to worry about it so much in our day-to-day lives, the Ace Airfoil is the board I would choose out of these two to actually live with. I hope you found this video interesting and informative. Loads of stuff in there. If there's any questions and comments, please get them in the comments below. Any questions where you want to really dive into what type of board or maybe different techniques will be best for you, get onto SUPboarder Pro and give us an Ask the Experts question. My name is Ruben. Happy paddling, happy winging and happy foiling, and I'll see you on another video soon.